Good evening, everybody, and welcome tonight, day number 129, July the 2nd, 9 o'clock on the East Coast, United States, approximately 6 in the West, 4 a.m. in Ukraine, and wherever else you're watching from tonight. I do not have all the time zones memorized. Take a look at your watch, and that's your time. Tonight, I do have Zhenya with me. He's back safely in from the East. As you guys know, we gave a full report on that last night. And then all of a sudden, all this conversation started about ways to help with clean water. I wrote the notes down. I told you we would jump on that immediately. And we're going to jump on that. We're going to talk to Zhenya about that tonight. We will come up with some plans. And we will find ways, if possible, to get some clean water to areas. He and I did discuss a few other things about the clean water, and I'll let him talk about that. Today, of course, very active in Ukraine as always. Last night it was Sumy. It seems today it is, I've got it right here, Mykolaiv, Dnipro, Slavyansk. Pretty interesting. Many of the cities that Zhenya was in over the last 24 hours have been hit pretty hard, especially Slavyansk with cluster munitions. But we'll look at that a little closer with him. So without any further ado, folks, on a Saturday night, Sunday morning there in Ukraine, back safe and sound. Welcome to you, my friend. Hold it. Try that again.
Good evening, friends.
Yes. Alive and well, safe and sound.
Yeah.
All the team back.
All team, all of guys are in perfect and condition, and they are happy. They're ready to go right now.
Good. Well, we're very thankful. And earlier today, I did the good son-in-law and son thing. My wife and I, we took my mother and my mother-in-law out. Little yard sale shopping, and took them to breakfast. And then we're coming back, and my mother says, "Can we call Zhenya?" And I know that was special for you. My mother wanted to talk to you. So she was able to spread some love and tell you that we care. So I'm sure that was nice to hear.
Yeah, it was surprise. It was surprise, and it was a very positive surprise. It was
good,
but it was really good.
Well, we love you, as you know, and let's jump right to it. I'm going to start tonight. I have some things ready. We're going to end up talking about the trip in a little more detail. I expressed things that you had shared with me. I told everybody last night that we had permission to share the locations, that you were already out, no problems, and everything was cool. We saw the food and the water conditions, and many people in the chat started just saying, listen, we want to help with the water. We'll get to that in a minute. But before that, let me say welcome to each of you that are here tonight. Welcome from all over the United States. Big hello to all of you, our friends across the ponds, our friends around the world. Thank you for being here. We've got Zhenya tonight, so I want to jump right to it. Thank you for all of your support, and big shout out to Jeffrey Burnett, our moderator out there in California, keeping the chat safe, healthy, and happy. So Zhenya, I'm going to show you a picture, and I want you to describe the speech that took place today. So in window number 1, this would be your picture.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Now, for those of you joining us tonight, of course, you know the guy on the right. That is Vladimir Putler, Mr. Putin, or Senor Putin. And on the left, that would be Lukashenko, the president of Belarus. Now, I can tell you that Putin came out yesterday and he said the activities and the actions that the West is doing is forcing Russia and Belarus to become one. Now, of course, that's going to play a big factor for Russia, because now they would have the northern border on you, not just symbolically through Belarus, but it's a forcing. Now, today, Lukashenko makes a speech and pushes that one more step. What was Lukashenko talking about?
Okay, let's see. Yes, he basically last days he told us different interesting fairy tales, and one of today he was threatening all countries and send a message that all former USSR countries are should be interested to have a close relationship with the new union, and if they don't want to lose their sovereignty and independence. And it's open threat. The other thing he mentioned before, then Ukraine were attacking Belarus by missiles, but their perfect air defense system are shooting down all the missiles, but
Yes.
they are not ready to play. If it be one more time the attack will be like that, they will answer really hard.
Well, he's trying to give, the same kind of speech that Zelensky gave the Transnistria region. Slap us, we'll punch you in the face. And of course, he's trying to give that threat to Ukraine. But with that said, we don't have to give them all, but how about the key players right now? First of all, let's do the timeline. It actually started 2 days ago with Lavrov saying the West is forcing the Iron Curtain to drop. That was from Lavrov. Then Putin comes out and says, well, the West is forcing Russia and Belarus to become one. And then timeline today, Lukashenko comes out and basically threatens all the nations of the former Soviet Union. Basically, we could interpret into English this way. He said, you need to join us or you could be next. So when we think about the nations of the former Soviet Union that are like major players right now, of course, Ukraine, and then the three Baltics, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. Those, and of course, there are the other nations that were a part of the Soviet Union, but that's really the focus area, that bridge between Russia and Europe. So we shall see. The threats are there. They're continuing to throw threats. But one thing we can say is Belarus and Russia definitely are coming closer. I want to show you this tonight, and I'm showing it for a reason, but you're going to speak about something else, I think, off of an article that you sent me a little while ago. So I cannot get off the Scholz train. I'm sorry. I know that everything's looking good. Welcome to the candidate status for the EU. Here's some money. Here's a few weapons. Below his picture, of course, this is the Chancellor of Germany. Below his picture, I have the three flags, and this is kind of the theme probably for the evening: Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. Once again, there's two things I want to say. Scholz, for the third day in a row, has attempted to pressure Lithuania to not be so bold and so strong in making their statements against Russia that you cannot transport sanctioned goods through our territory. Well, Lithuania says, sorry, it's not going to change. And on top of that today, Estonia, the little bulldog, came out and said, and don't even think about trying to get goods through Estonian sovereign territory. It is not possible. So these little nations are being bold and strong. Then Scholz says, listen, Putin wants to wage a long war, and he has the means to do so. Well, let me explain that statement. He already knew that sanctions wouldn't work. They're not going to work. And then he said, we must be prepared for years of war. And that's a quote. So we have all of these things, the pressure on the Baltics from Scholz, the pressure on the Baltics from Lukashenko, the pressure on the Baltics, of course, from Putin and his army of nuts. But unfortunately, we can understand Putin and we can understand Lukashenko. But Scholz is really showing his true colors. Now, go back in time, January 2022, prior to the war, and you shared something with me right before we went on the air tonight. So why don't you go there, and that will help us understand the Scholz picture a little bit more. January 22. Remember, the war, this invasion phase started February in 22.
Yeah, the Scholz, he wanted, he said about like that, I want to make sure and will control the quality of building good quality relations, let's say new quality beginning in the relations of between Moscow and Berlin. And then during the process there and during that interview to build, he said that we need to make sure that the Nord Stream 2 will not be
the pipeline.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah. Will not be discussed and involved in the politics because it's just a business question and we need to think about the interest. Oh, he already there before the war, let's say, he had this war in the plans.
Sure.
Looks like.
So it appears that Scholz was aware of this war coming, number one. And number two, did that article talk about how many times Scholz was visiting Moscow?
No, but it was...
That was the article I read about Merkel. Merkel, the predecessor, was in Moscow during her tenure over 50 times in Moscow, Merkel. Now, of course, Scholz is really the one, of course, not only politically coming after her, but as well a lot of the way he views Germany and Russia are formed from Merkel.
Yes, because of his position, the people in Germany had some even jokes and were asking about is the Merkel is still our chancellor?
That's right.
And the second thing, it was a saying, where's Scholz? Like this political leader are like, I mean, like invisible. Like it's just continuation of the Merkel. So where's the Scholz himself?
Well, here's the deal. You mean tell you what Scholz is hoping? Scholz is hoping the world will grow tired of this quickly. The world, it meaning other nations other than Germany, will start to say, okay, we need to cool down. We need to back off. Just kind of let the East unfold. Maybe it'll end there. That's honestly, it's obvious what he's hoping for. So today, Podolyak, of course, comes out and he makes a statement. Podolyak came out. There it is, July the 2nd, 1 in the afternoon. Forget about Ukraine fatigue. The world is not tired of supporting Ukraine. The world is tired of Russian gas blackmail, artificial crises, inflation, political assassinations, chemical weapons, terror, and constant brazen lies. Tired of Putin's personal complexes. That's Podolyak, and very interesting. You have to look at the big picture. The big picture is after Lukashenko makes his speech, after Scholz for the third day continues his sitting on the fence and just providing poor leadership, Podolyak comes out and makes these statements that the world's not going to grow tired. I think it was a very direct statement to some of these international leaders that are just a little slow. And, you know, I avoid American politics on this, but I'm very thankful for what we've done financially. I know that some of our stronger systems are there now. But, you know, the United States also has issues internally in Washington, D.C., our president and those in the Pentagon. And I know Ukraine's aware of it. But nevertheless, we fight on. One thing for sure, we're not going to grow tired. Now, earlier today, when my mother called you, there was something that you said to her. And you said, thank you for not growing tired. It's the same statement. And I think I'll let you speak to that. But today is day 129. We're not growing tired, bud. Others may, but we're not going to. We're focused. And we know if Russia wins this war, Europe is in trouble and the world is in trouble. Period. We know that. The Middle East is in trouble. Asia's in trouble. And unfortunately, most of these world leaders, like Scholz and even President Biden, very slow in understanding the long-term repercussions if Russia wins this war. So we're not going to grow tired. But Podolyak said it, and as well, you told my mother the same. And I want you to know, there are a lot of people in this stream each night that have been here, listen to me, every night. They haven't missed one. They care.
Thank you. About this situation, you know.
Did I almost make you cry?
No. No, I'm ready to continue. So, it's like a new tool or new way to stop or make Ukraine slower. It's, through informational influence, to make people tired of the war, tired of helping, tired of fighting, tired to resistant, and the world, let's say Europe, you can read it, you can compare the periods. It's in some countries it just disappearing. The subject of the war, subject of Ukraine, or at least in the perspective of the people are dying there. The Russian missiles are killing people, destroying cities, and so on. So you, in a lot of places, you cannot read it. Otherwise, you are looking, especially you are like with a purpose, you're looking for specific information. Correct. But at Coma, you will not find it on the front line of news agencies and so on. And this way, this is one of the way to make Ukraine more weak and take this tension inside of countries less, inside of, because just normal people who knows the information, they're expecting for their government will help. They will help. But at this moment, it's like it's coming down, let's say, in a lot of places. So this is why it's so important to understand. It's nothing good, let's say. I mean, a lot of good happened, but situation is not changed for good, principally.
Correct.
Ukraine still almost every day losing the territories.
Yes, we've lost some today.
Not because we're not ready to fight, not because our soldiers are not on the same level as Russians, not because we don't want, any more of some territories. Not. The only reason, one woman came to me in Siversk yesterday. She was thanking for the help, for the food, but she came to say, Thank you that you're not leaving us.
Mm-hmm.
And please, is situation is still the same that all of us, and she started to cry. The woman about 50 years old, she started to cry. Is situation is still the same that the armor are still is on the way. We still wait for it. I said, yes, that's true. We still wait for the armor. We still wait for other countries would help. She says,
Well,
okay, okay.
Jacob, it goes back to the security guarantees when Ukrainian gave up their arsenal. That's what it goes back to, and nations have not stood up with their responsibilities. The other side of it is, it's just like Scholz was saying, when you talk about a war of attrition, and attrition meaning long term. Listen, you're Ukrainian. You just were on the front line, and we're going to look at that on the map in a moment as we close out the program. But it would be very difficult for Ukraine to win the war of attrition. Let's just be honest, because, okay, like Russia now firing the KH-22 missiles, that's what's doing a lot of this damage and killing a lot of people. They have no control over them. I mean, they're aiming at targets, but they don't care where they land. They don't care if they destroy civilians. They don't care if it hits medical centers. And the supply of those weapons, they have a large amount.
Yes, that's true, but there is a big but. It's the Scholz whispers what Putin wants for people would hear, because it's like to prepare a new Minsk 4 or 5, let's say, Minsk 5. Okay, now, okay, please think about that. Europe, think about that. Ukraine, think about that. It's for the years. No, it's not for the years. I believe if all the weapon will come, if all the countries and the presidents and leaders will hold their word, their promises, and we will get in time that weapon, this dream will not come true. I mean, the Putin's dream that Ukraine will say, okay, it's so many people, okay, let's trade some territories. No, Scholz is whispering. Putin wants to build a foundation for new peaceful agreement. No, it's not about that, and I don't want for the world or be we're hooked on that kind of information. No, it's not truth. Just give us a weapon, and you will see, and we will not discuss our territories. We will get it back. We will get it back.
I agree with you 100%, but we come down to the same story. And I think you make two really good points. Number one, Scholz is like the accepted whisperer for Putin. I think that's a great way to view it. There's no doubt that Scholz is talking to Putin. There's no doubt. Okay? They're communicating. Scholz is whispering to the West, trying to speed along another agreement, or maybe get this ended, exchange some territories, be over with it, and start filling the German bank account again. That's his plan. We know that. But I agree with you 100%. When Ukraine is supplied properly and they have the resources necessary, they absolutely demolish Russia. Do you realize, let's look at it this way. How many cruise missiles have been sent on Ukrainian territory? You know the number?
Seems to me over 3K.
It's somewhere. I know it's over 25. It's pushing 3K. That's cruise. Now, they also have all the other types of missiles, all the other types of shelling. Okay. Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
If Ukraine had all those cruise missiles and started ripping Russian cities, this war would be different. If Ukraine even had the equal amount of missiles and just put them back even onto the Russian forces that are on our territory, forget firing into Russia, they would not have the amount of territory they have now and probably would have went home. So
if we would have 777 few 2 weeks after it started, or HIMARS, or other stuff we have now, or like, I mean, Susanna and a lot of
Caesar.
If we would have it, Caesar from France, yes, and we just have some, but you can read and find out more information how the quality using, how your professionals are evaluating of using it, the effectiveness of using it by Ukrainian professionals. So we need the weapon.
Yes.
And it's not about territories. Every day, because of that crowd, of that orcs, these Russians, we losing our people.
Here's the deal. And I hate conspiracy theories, and I'm not going to go there. But, do we have some HIMARS? Yeah. Just a few.
Yes.
Do we have some 777s? Yes. Just a few. Do we have some Caesars? Yes. Just a few. Okay. So we're thankful for those. But it's interesting to me that we allowed all this time to pass, months and months and months, for Russia to establish a really strong hold on some of these territories and supply lines, et cetera, especially once the winter time ended, there in the early part of the war, February, March. And now that a lot of that is established, then we start to send in the weapons. I just don't understand why folks didn't have enough strategy at the beginning to understand that we needed to jump quick to respond to this invasion. And now it's like we're trying to put lipstick on a pig. That's our saying that, but hey, we've given 777s. We've given HIMARS. Caesars are coming. Macron comes out 2 days ago and says, we're sending 4 more. 4? We need 40. We need 400. Okay. So yes, we're not going to go down that hole right now in a conspiracy theory, but timing is so strange in this war for allies, for friends, and for sure, Macron is basically a whisperer for Putin. I think that's a great way to show it. I want to change gears because we can stay there all night. I want to change gears. We do not grow tired of the war, and we do not grow tired of our first fallen big city. And of course, that was Mariupol. But Mariupol came out today, and those that are on the Ukrainian side still evaluating what's happening there. Of course, the city's destroyed, and it's very difficult there. But they evaluated the transport system and said it cannot be repaired. It's destroyed. And the only way to build a transport system is to build one new again. And that's over a 3-year project. So if you're Ukrainian, when you look at the cities, I can answer this, but it's better for you to answer it. Public transportation is vitally important to the lifeblood of many of these larger cities. And now, I know Mariupol has fallen, but we look at the infrastructure because it's going to be our city again. I believe that 100%. Going to be our city again. But there's no infrastructure. None.
And it will be the same with other areas, like social care, medicine, everything, infrastructure, the electricity supply, the water supply. Take any area, it will be, and please understand, it will be not possible to discuss it in real or to compare, because there is a way of thinking of aggressor and occupant and there is a way of thinking of a family member, or you like a home city person. It's my home city. How I can help? Surely it will be absolutely opposite thoughts about that.
Sure.
I mean, like, and surely not Ukraine can help each other. I mean, these cities plus other countries can help it to rebuild everything, but to Ukraine.
Correct. Not to Russia. Couple of last things I want to roll with tonight, and I'll go to here for us. I was sharing with people last night how it was just very interesting over the last 7 days in strikes. And I'll do this for you. I'll put it in red, but you know, we had the big strikes in Kyiv, then we had Zhytomyr, then we had Kremenchuk, then we had Odessa, last night Sumy, of course, constantly Mykolaiv, and then today Mykolaiv, and then right where you were yesterday, Slavyansk was pounded today with cluster munitions, and of course Kharkiv as well, and city of the day, and I hate to say this, but this is like 7 days in a row now, Dnipro. So today the targets were majorly Dnipro and Slavyansk. And I was just sharing with people, I know you were traveling back from the east, how it's just interesting with the major brunts or the major focus attacks. I mean, they're attacking everywhere, but your focused attacks, it's almost like they're choosing a city a day and bouncing it around the city, bouncing it around the nation to kind of keep it a surprise. And every day I wake up, I'm checking, and it's another city, and that's been the focus. Now I want to zoom in here with you. So
Let's see.
Let's do this. Yesterday, you were here in Siversk. Let me make that smaller so I can have more control. You were here in Siversk.
Yes.
Unfortunately, Zheka, I don't know if you've seen this or not, but there's now conflicting reports that the center of Lysychansk has fallen to Russia. In fact, I'll roll this video and then I'll come back to you. About 30 seconds here. This is the center of Lysychansk today.
Все, видео пошло. Что? Я тоже свою харю сниму. Вот она администрация. Кому? На, держи. На, держи. Lysychansk наш!
But I know that's hard to see. It's hard for me to see, and I'm an American that's only spent 2 years of my life in Ukraine.
They claim that they got Lysychansk, but
yes.
Our guys are still there.
Yes.
In Lysychansk, they're not. They didn't leave the place, and yes, they claim it, but it's not confirmed.
Correct.
By commanders, so it is not true. Let's say even surely they got some part of the city, but until our commanders will not comment it or confirm it, no, it's this information for me. It's like, okay, whatever they can claim,
whatever they want.
Yeah, like for example, one of the Russian claims. In reality, it is not NATO coming closer to Russia. It is Russia coming closer to NATO. looks like they are about, to surround the NATO countries.
Tell the truth. I love it. Now, with all that said, a couple of things I want to discuss. First of all, you were in Siversk. Oh, sorry. Let's go. Keep it blue. In Siversk.
Yes.
And we showed the video. We showed the updates. Of course, if you want to get any closer to the front lines, you'd have to go downtown Lysychansk and get there right on the street battles. But today, just to show you folks where we're able to get into and to share humanitarian aid and military aid, today, I mean, we didn't tell anybody. Military gave permission for us to share where he was at. But today, just so you know, two of the major attack areas in this region was Bakhmut and Slavyansk. You were inside of that.
I didn't share it with you, but we were about 10 kilometers from Bakhmut. Okay. Maybe 8 kilometers, 10 kilometers from Bakhmut.
4 miles.
Yes. And Shurla, Slavyansk, and Kramatorsk.
So,
yes,
really interesting. There. I don't know if you saw this or not, but dude, check this out. Yesterday, we were reporting out of Siversk with you and our team. So today, we beat UATV. They were there today, and the one little girl that's doing press work, she's got our bulletproof stuff on and helmet. She's bold, man. She goes everywhere trying to tell the truth for Ukraine. And Zhenya, this is right where you were yesterday.
Alexei Ozhogov was killed on June 30th of this year. His relatives found him, pulled him out of the wreckage of the barn where he was at the time of the shelling, and buried him in the yard of their house. There was no opportunity to bury him in the city cemetery. So he brought flowers to the grave of his 46-year-old friend. The man recalls with horror the day when, after another bombardment, he had to be pulled out from under the rubble and buried right there in the yard. His friend's wife was not found.
The wife probably was killed. They were looking for her, but didn't find.
Tell us about your friend.
He was my best friend. He was found killed in a barn. My wife and I came, together with another man. We managed to take him out. Unfortunately, he was killed. We buried him here, because there is nowhere else to bury.
Most of the grocery stores in the city are already closed. Locals wait for hours to buy bread. There is no electricity or water supply in the city either. Not everyone has wells with water, so in order to get it, they go several kilometers to the spring. How long have you been without water?
It's been 2 months now.
Where do you get your water? Is there a well somewhere?
We take water from wells.
Well, that's not enough, but does anyone bring non-drinkable water?
No one is delivering anything. There is no connection, phones are left at home, and there is no way to recharge it.
And tell me please, has the number of shelling increased?
Shelling occurs both day and night. We live in basements.
At the same time, the locals are in no hurry to evacuate from the city, which is already regularly shelled by Russian troops. They say there is nowhere to go. There are still many families with small children in Siversk. Are there a lot of small children?
Here is a 4-year-old child.
Why do you put up with all this?
What should we do? Where should we go?
Every day Russian troops shell Siversk. We have counted dozens of fires from shelling, just a huge number of craters left by air and missile strikes. Previously, about 10,000 people lived in Siversk. Since the beginning of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, more than 60% of local residents have left their homes. Reported by Marina Stepanenko, Olena Hramova, UATV News.
Dude, it is so weird to see that report that just came out today, and I saw the same building that you were standing on yesterday, all the same, and everything that they were. The what?
We met them. we've seen them there recording, but we had, we came, before them a little bit. Maybe we didn't see them before, but we were going specially for help people with the food, and this is why we were going to specific place to deliver the food. So, and we didn't think about, so on the way back we did spend some minutes to share the video with you.
Yes.
That building of
Well,
college
it's
and
just,
so on.
you know, we're helping right there, bud. I mean,
Yeah.
proof pudding.
Yes.
Proof's in the pudding. Now, I want to talk about something specifically. So we'll go back here to this. So, of course, that was Siversk. And, of course, you guys have made it out. Now, we already know of big needs still in this area. Huge needs. And we're not going to talk about why don't people leave. I've answered that. You've answered that. They just heard it on the UA TV report. There's nowhere to go. These people have no money, and there's nobody coming. Now, you say that, but the press was there, and our team was there. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
These people are trapped, and they will continue to die. They will be killed by shelling. And if Ukraine does not repel this pocket here in Lysychansk, they're going to get taken over. Period. If we are not able to repel. So it's going to happen. Now, a big topic came up last night in the chat, and that is our guys want to help with some clean water if possible. So let's talk about that as we close out the program tonight, because people started jumping on that in the chat and saying, okay, I'll help. I'll send some money, or I've got a connection. I've got a contact. But you and I were talking about something, and it's not as simple as that.
Okay, I would say, coming back to the topic of some water filtration system or something like that.
Yeah, even
situation.
Listen, Jacob, 1 second. Even our guys were talking about, and I'll get more information. It's like emergency straws, a trubichka. It's nice.
I understand.
Okay, yeah.
But please understand, you have to understand the other side to see it. The people are under regular threat of being killed by shrapnel, or any other
shelling
ways. So shelling, and surely there is no water supply at homes, but they were using the well, but because of the quantity of the people who were taking water out, plus really it's a dry time, and it's 35 plus of Celsius, which is
okay. So about 95 degrees. It's hot. It's dry.
It's too hot and dry. This well is almost out. There is no possible to take water. Forget about clean water or not so clean. Plus, and people cannot leave their homes because it's like their fortress. They hiding there in
those basements.
So, and in reality is the man who was having more power, let's say more strong, they can walk and some distance, and surely they firstly care about themselves, their families.
Well, the one lady said in the article, is like a few kilometers away to a spring where they can get water. So let's just call it 2 kilometers and 1 mile. Okay, so folks in here, just think about a 5-gallon bucket of water 5 gallons. That's 40 pounds. 95 degrees, hot, shelling. It's not simple to get water. Destroyed roads.
Some because of it's a craters of the missiles or bombs, and the other roads were destroyed by our forces just for protection against the tanks and so on. So with that, nobody, I mean, it's not easy. It's not about like there is a water but no purification system. It's like
they don't even get rain right now hardly. It's dry season.
No rain. So probably if they will have rain, they will take all the vessels, everything, the pots outside and collect it. So, and this is why they were asking, do you have at least some water? And we started to think reality is then in about 1.5 less than 2 hours driving, there is water. And we can buy a lot of, I think, the bottled water, and we could transport. But reality is, we were there yesterday, and we don't know even about tonight the situation. It's changing every hour.
Well,
so
I know
tomorrow,
Siversk. I know Siversk was shelled today.
Yes, so reality is, and we it's in process in our talks that probably we will need to stay there not for 1 or 2 days, longer, more days, and looking for these, let's say, windows, possibilities to take bread or water there. This is the way we think, and this is we think about. We're getting advice, and we are about to connect with the local military administration of these regions and the places for regular update situation, and to discuss which is the best way they see it.
Okay.
Because we want to help, and people are in need. There is other side why people stay there. Probably they don't have enough information, or maybe we can offer them something specific refuge centers, specific cities or places where people will be accepted right there, right at this day. And this is what we think about. Just practical answers, let's say.
So let's summarize it this way. We have a community here that wants to help with the water project because people need water. So you guys will talk to the military, talk to the strategy, make some plans. If we need to find some equipment, we'll work on that. If we need to get straws, we'll get straws. Or if we just need to buy water and maybe transport for a couple of days, we'll get resources financially to buy fuel and to buy the water. So we'll be on that. That struck a real need last night. So in reality, what you're talking about is maybe, and wherever this would be, because it changes every day, but you would set up a zone of safety, another city,
correct,
and where you can still get water. You would find a way to transport it. You would roll it in, and you guys would roll out, and you'd roll it in and roll out, and maybe get them a couple of weeks supply of water. Okay, so that's great, and we'll stay on top of that because it was just one of those topics that came up last night that really touched people's hearts, and we want to be a part of that. The other thing is, you know, when we talk about the water purification, and we'll leave this here, there's just no water. That's what it comes down to. You have to have water to purify. There's no water.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and the question is, in case the way Russian aggressors does, they're using, they destroyed chemical factories. In that case, even if they would be sources of water, if it be poisoned with the chemicals, it's other challenge.
Sure.
So this is why we think about like up to 2 liters bottles, like a big, quite big bottles, and to transport there. And we started to calculate. So I'm not ready to answer all the things we came
but
to.
I want the community to know. I promised them. There was my note I wrote down from last night. I promised everybody we'll investigate. I'll talk to you today about it, and we will come up with a plan to help people.
Yeah, correct.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
And understand, I didn't share it with, but we do realize that the people who stayed there, it's about 50 and 50. 50% of that people who are staying there and struggling with having no water and so on, these people they're deceived by information from Russia about new life, what Russia brings to a new happy life. They're like a lot of them, a part of them are pro-Russian. We understand it, but it doesn't matter. They're hungry, and we helping as a church, as Ukrainians, as one nation. We don't ask them. We just serve
humans,
them the way
as humans. Yes.
And them, we are not bringing just a glass of some grain and okay, God bless you. No, we bringing really good sets. This is what we're trying to do, and we will buy and form the sets. It will be the next time we will be forming one more time. We will be buying the foods, because sometimes it's great when people can send humanitarian aid and all of this stuff, by container or heavy long truck, and then it's easier. But at this moment, when it's not enough, we will be buying it, forming sets, and distributing it.
Well, a couple of things. First of all, a container and tractor and trailers are not going to get into these places. The roads are destroyed, and it's way too dangerous. Let's send a 53-foot truck into Siversk, and I promise you the shells will be dropping because they'll be watching, and that would be quite a target.
Okay.
So,
yeah, but
no. What I'm saying, I'm agreeing with you. Listen.
Yes.
We're doing the right way because there's no other way to do it.
Yes, hundreds of people heard gospel, experienced care, love, experienced their Ukrainian talking and Russian talking people caring about them. It's not about the language. And experienced our smiles, our serving them, and practical help. They got canned stuff, then
you
got
told me
a lot of good.
You told me yesterday that we saw the bags being distributed, and that is basically managed properly a 1 week supply of food. So it's good.
Yes, about that.
Good.
Let's say not like a 3. Let's say it's okay to survive, and it's for yes. Maybe I will other day I will share what kind of
that would be awesome.
What is inside of one set, just normal set.
But it's
good.
It's thought out what goes in the bag. Good.
Yes.
All right, folks. Well, back in Khmelnytsky, and he's doing great.
Yeah,
you gonna get some?
Thank you.
Are you gonna get some sleep tonight? This morning, I mean.
Yeah, I'm gonna. I have to.
I mean, y'all were basically up 48 hours doing this run. A little sleep in the vehicle, but that's it.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it was on the way.
Okay. All right, my man.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, it's a great update.
Thank you
for all of you guys in here tonight. Thank you for being here. Couple of main things. You got the inside story from the Frontline trip yesterday, and most importantly, we learned a new term, Scholz. He's the Putin Whisperer. All right, my man. Love you. To all, a good night. No. Good night.
Good night to all.
And to all, a good night. Woo!